Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it.
This is a business trip, as I like to say.
You, Brad Culpepper.
I'm tired of you and the fucking chicken.
You can call me the puppet master. They can be my little puppets.
It's not like you're making a deal with the devil here.
You get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Who the hell voted for me? Chicken.
Damn! We got enough rocks here, too. We could build a pretty decent shelter just using rocks.
I'm supposed to talk Lima to you. You understand that better?
Direct from Hobart, it's time for the only Survivor podcast in Australia dedicated to Survivor, bringing you all the latest interviews, episodes, and opinions from the greatest reality show on the planet. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's #1 TV and film podcast, as we come to you once again for an episode recap. I'm back in the chair after a week away. Thanks to Noah and Colin for taking control last week, and obviously to Kathy Sleckman for giving us her insight last week. But this week we have 2 episodes to cover. And look, when it comes to covering more than one episode, we have to get the best. We have to get our best friends, the greatest people that we love to talk to. And when I say that, there's only one person that we can do that with, and that is none other than from Survivor Nicaragua, I'll pronounce it properly, the one, the only Kelly, Purple Kelly Shinn. Kelly, welcome back to Survivor Oz.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
That intro,
I love Survivor Oz.
That intro was nearly perfect, and then I couldn't pronounce your season. But whatever. We're happy to have you back.
We don't know where we don't know where I was.
Yeah. Where they're filming it now, Nicaragua.
You know what? Which is amazing, because I feel like I'm watching this and I'm recognizing things, and I'm like, this is just, I don't know, it's really awesome.
Is it? So can you legitimately watch it and see things that were exactly the same from when you were filming it?
Well, you know, one of the spots that they're doing a bunch of the interviews with the cast, you can see some of the rocks in the background. So, like, I recognize things like that. Specific beach spots, not really, because not only was it nearly 5 years ago, but not so much the beach, but the land, the markings, the land, all that, you know?
It's interesting when they do these multiple seasons in the one location, how they try and make it seem different. Like, because compared to like last season, San Juan del Sur, like, to me, it was very, I don't know, like, it looked more inland than this season. This season's very more beachy, if that makes sense. But I remember your season was very beachy, from what I can remember.
You know what? And that's what I recognize. It's the sand, it's that water, and then when the sun's setting, it's that sky. Like, it is so Nicaragua that it's turned up. It's kind of an angry sky, and that's what I recognize. And I'm just like, oh my God, I feel for these people, because I know that it's raining at night. I know it.
So it's raining as much on your season, though, it seems. It looks like your season was the one that rained the most for Nicaragua.
I think so. I think we take the cake for that,
yes.
Which is too bad, but that's okay.
We've covered that before, Kelly. We definitely have. But it's great to have you back. Since we've had you on the show, I don't know if you've listened to any of our intros, but you feature in our introduction now, of course, with our quotes. Your milk your own milk quote. Your very famous. That's in our intro now, Kelly.
You know what? I heard I was in the intro. I was completely flattered. So, of course, I downloaded it. I was so excited to hear it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to kill Ben. I'm going to kill everyone at Survivor Oz right now, because out of everything I said, that's what they pick. Come on, you guys.
Well, it was. I just like the fact that, of course, like, that was like your first confessional or whatever it was, or your first one in like 7 episodes.
Oh, so. You get to milk your own milk. I'm blonde. I'm on the beach. I'm starving.
Oh, no, we had to include you in there. Come on.
I'm so glad you guys did, even if that is what I'm saying. And still, to this day, I'm like, is that grammatically correct? Like, it sounds awful, but it might not be, like, incorrect.
If people listen to the intro and they haven't watched Nicaragua in a long time, they're probably like going, what the fuck is that milk? What? Like, whatever. But, like, we're paying homage to you, Kelly. We have to have you in our intro. It's that simple.
You know what? I appreciate that.
Good. All right.
Thank you.
We had to point that out. But season 30, what are you thinking of it so far, as we're now 5 episodes into this season?
Oh, my God. I think I am loving this season. I thought the whole white collar, blue collar, no collar, I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. And then when they did the whole tribe switch, things got even more interesting. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to some of the people or not, but I think this is a great season. The cast that they picked, I am so happy to see, for compared to the other seasons, so many super fans on this show, and I think that's awesome. There's so many people that know Survivor inside and out. It's fun to watch them play the game, really,
including a teacher who, as we now know, doesn't necessarily help you.
That's, you know what, part of it, I'm like, he's gonna do so well. I thought that at the beginning, and then right after the first episode, I'm like, if he's teaching Survivor, doesn't he know he needs to be a little bit more savvy than this? He is just a social nut.
It's kind of, it was always going to be hard with Max because, I mean, I don't know if you were aware of him before this season. Like, we'd actually had some dealings with him before he'd played, and I know he was known amongst some Survivor contestants. Like, I knew RC was, apparently really good friends with him and all this sort of stuff. And it was always like he was going to have this pressure on him because of what he's done in the past. So,
yeah.
I mean, you wonder if we didn't really see him talking about the fact that he was a teacher of Survivor at college. So
yeah.
I'm guessing he kept that secret.
You know what? That's what I was thinking, but then I also think, Shireen, she's such a fanatic. She knows. She has to know, right?
Did you have, when you were out there, did you have many people who were full on oh my God, Survivor, it's day 3, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, or wasn't it really like that?
You mean from people that had seen the show previously?
I mean, did you have, super fans on your season?
Okay, so my season, we had young versus old. So for the first 2 weeks, really, it was just the young people. And, I don't want to upset a lot of people, but a lot of us, I think, had not seen a lot of Survivor. We were not super familiar with the show. Mm-hmm. So, we all had the concept. We knew what to expect, what was going on. But no, there was not... it was the young tribe. We were out there day 1. We're shelter, let's go swimming. Come on. We were just crazy. There weren't many super fans.
We talked a little bit about that the other night on our Oztopsy, because I know Noah was kind of mentioning that he's not, when it comes to some of the super fans, he doesn't necessarily like it because it's I don't know how you can put it, because I can see why super fans on the show can be great, because if you're a super fan of Survivor and you're watching it, you're like, hey, that's me out there, or something like that. But
yeah,
sometimes some of the best players who have played this game had never seen an episode going into it. Like Russell, for example. I don't know how much of a super fan Russell was. We all know he was a recruit. It's kind of like, well, does being a super fan necessarily mean you're going to be a good player?
You know what? I think that's kind of what's nice about this, especially having played. So many people think they know exactly what to expect on Survivor and that they know what it is like. So just for instance, for Max, in his exit interview, he said he was talking about how hard Survivor was. So to have a super fan say that, I think that kind of validates the game. And then you have people like Russell, you go into it, so you don't really have any expectations. You can only play day by day, and then you don't, get all up in your head about it, because you don't know. Yeah. You're not thinking too much, and, even in life, thinking too much is just going to really screw you over, so
yeah,
that's the benefit to that.
Well, I know that if I was to ever play a game, I would be just overthinking like crazy.
Right.
And that's, I think, exactly. I think that can affect you, because we've only seen a few super fans. Todd, I think, was the first real super fan who came out and won the game. And we've had a few other examples. But, yeah, being a super fan of something, you could be the biggest NFL fan in the world, and, if you line up for the Seattle Seahawks as quarterback, doesn't mean you're going to be a good player, does it?
No, it doesn't. That's a good analogy. I like that.
It's the first team that popped to my head, by the way. Sorry if you hate the Seahawks, but...
I would like to see you play Survivor, though. I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
and then you'd be like, oh, well, Kelly said this on her interview. I'm not going to do this. Oh, wait, Russell said this. I'm not going to do that.
I am telling you now that I would quit before you quit. The whole living, I couldn't handle that. I would be out of there within 3 days.
You know what? You think that because after that very first night we had in Nicaragua, I thought, you know what? This is hell. none of us are going to do this because we are so miserable. And all of a sudden, it's like you get past that. Like, you're fine that you are just not dry for days. Like, you get past all that. So it's like, you get used to the hunger. You get used to all of that. It's miserable, but...
You've got a cat in the background that sounds miserable too. I should point that out.
So
I just want to point out, listeners, she's got it's very, what's her, is that the girl or the boy cat?
She is my girl cat. Can't you tell by that meow?
Oh, well, I'm not too good at that side of things, Kelly, but...
Clearly, before we started this, my boy cat is like, he's like growling.
Well, she could be a very effeminate boy cat.
She's my little dainty girl. Come on.
What's her name?
Her name is Hobie.
Hobie. Ah,
yes.
Okay. Hobie can join in the conversation, I feel. So,
I'm so scared, everybody.
Where does Hobie come from? I like that name.
You know what? I got him when I was going into 7th grade. I was young. I was 12. And so I have 2 cats, Hobie and Rusty, brother and sister. I just went with, like, ocean surf names.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That works.
I know.
My cat's called Pippa, and it was named after, half named after a character in a book and half named after a character from a TV soap opera. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That works too.
She's like 18 now. She's old, so that's how it works.
Oh, those are the best.
Yes. But in terms of 3 tribe season, do you like a 3 tribe season, Kelly? I mean, do you prefer it over a 2 tribe?
So if I were playing the game, I would love 3 tribes. There's been so many benefits. Your first, second, or third, your chances of winning something and not going to tribal are going to be less. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but when you merge, there's going to be less chance for clicks, I think, with 3 tribes. So I think that that'll like add to the suspense and the show and everything like that. But as far as watching, I think it's kind of crazy. Like, I would rather have an hour episode where we're focusing and getting to know more people on each tribe than kind of bouncing around. Because now we've gone through episode 5 pretty much because we have the tribe switch. So I feel like I don't really know a lot of the players. Like last week I saw a lot of Jen, so I feel like I got to know her. But as far as really getting to know these people, I don't know them that well yet. So that's hard. It's
interesting kind of with the editing because, I mean, seasons are always hit and miss. Your season, yourself, classic example. But, like, it's kind of, with the 3 tribe season, it's a good point you make because if a tribe is winning all the time, you kind of feel like you're never going to see them. And then if they're losing all the time. But then we've kind of had this season with the blue collars who... Before they switched up, they were winning all the time, but they were such a hot mess that we got to see so much of them anyway.
I know. Isn't that so funny? And besides, they had Rodney, so it was like so much viewing material that it's just crazy.
Now, Kelly, are you a Rodney fan?
You know what? I am excited to meet Rodney in person. I'm sure at one of the charity events I'll meet him. I'm sure he's probably a great person. I'm not sure if he should be on Jersey Shore Survivor, but I think that's what makes me so interested in him. Like, there's no way he can really be like this. And the crazy thing about him, I think he's just being honest. I think he probably represents, like, many of the guys on this show, not necessarily this season, but that have played, but most of them just keep their mouth shut. But he's got that Jersey Shore mouth. He's just going to let it run.
I love his accent. Like, we're trying to call him Boston Rod instead of Boston Rob.
I know. You know what? That's what I see everybody hashtagging Boston Rod. But when I posted a photo on my Instagram, and nobody seemed to be a fan of him. And I didn't say whether I was or not. I said any thoughts on Rodney just to kind of like see what people were thinking. And I don't know if the people that like him just keep quiet because they don't care to respond. But not many people cared for him. And I was like, gosh, man, come on.
I before the season started, he was like my favorite. So like to me, he reminds me of Vanilla Ice. Can I just point that out? But like he is just. There's something about him, and, like, I think he started off quite well, because a lot of us thought, he's just going to keep talking his mouth, and he's going to, like, piss people off, and he started playing okay at his whole 3 C's thing, and the Tom Brady, and all this sort of stuff, but then he started digging himself a hole with his comments about women. Now, I need to ask you about this, Kelly, because we had an Oz Topsy the other night with all men, and we were giving male perspective. Was what he was saying incredibly insensitive, and did Jeff Probst try and put him in his place when he was talking about that?
You know what? I think it was insensitive. I don't agree with it at all. But I think when Jeff opens his mouth about anything, it is to stir up controversy. I don't think... I mean, he doesn't ever open his mouth to keep things calm or to, like, smooth things over. If Jeff is opening his mouth, it's to stir the pot. So maybe he set that up a little bit. But I don't agree with what Rodney said. I think that was a terrible move. And if he's going to win the $1 million, he's going to have to get rid of all the females he's pissed off before he can ever go forward. So he needs to hope that when they merge, he's with white collar and no collar. It's
interesting, I think, the fact that whether Jeff was kind of saying, like, oh, you know, what you just said, millions of, you know, women right now watching this would find it. And then, like, this is from Jeff Probst, who in the next episode is all but saying, look how strong the men are and the women are so weak. Like,
yeah, like, come on, Jeff. Isn't he something else? Like, I'm just going to kind of keep my mouth shut, but it's like your comments are just ridiculous, a little hypocritical, but that's okay. Yeah. But we'll go. It's Jeff Probst. We'll let him slide. He's made 30 amazing seasons, so
and he pretty much he all but admitted he used Botox this episode too. So
I know, and you know what? When he said that, it was like his eyebrows tried to move, but then there was a thing, and I was like, you know what? He does look pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I think I worked it out.
Surgeon.
Yeah, I think I worked it out that he's the same age as my dad, and my dad doesn't look like Jeff Probst.
Oh, you need to post like a side by side.
My dad, Jeff Probst.
Any resemblance?
Yes, exactly. Well, I think actually, I need to confirm this. He might also be the same age as Barack Obama. I'm just thinking, because I think my dad's the same age as Barack Obama. This is kind of weird comparisons right now. We're bringing up Barack Obama into this, whatever, but
and I'm just gonna...
how does Obama and Jeff Probst compare on the looking their age capabilities there, Kelly?
You know what? I think I would vote for Jeff Probst to be our president. That's not saying much.
So Barack Obama is 53 and Jeff Probst is 53. So there you go.
If our podcast just blows up, we know Obama's tapped into our system.
Yes. Yeah. Obama.
We were just talking about how much does it take in order for them to notice us.
Obama is 2 months older, exactly 2 months older than Jeff Probst. Barack Obama is. There you go.
Oh my God, Obama needs Botox too, I guess. We need to work on that.
Exactly.
Any plastic surgeons listening, work on Barack Obama.
Yep.
And his gray hair, get some hair dye.
How would that work? Like the president of the USA rocks up to like a plastic surgeon, like, hi.
And then he comes out for his next like press conference, and his lips are big. There's no wrinkles. His hair's dyed.
Yeah.
His cheeks are all defined.
Notice anything different, America? Anyway, back to Survivor. How did we bring up Barack Obama? Who knows? The whole blue collar situation, just like they're yelling at each other, they're screaming at each other. Lindsay ends up going home because of it. Did they make the right decision in voting out Lindsay, or should they have voted out Rodney after all of that?
You know what? As far as, like, at that point, they didn't know a tribe switch was coming. Rodney's going to get him further. There is absolutely no reason to vote Rodney out at that point. Like, personality-wise, he might suck. But I can put up with personality over losing. Mm-hmm. So, I liked Lindsay, but I think that they did make a right choice. And she kind of stirred the pot a little bit, too. Like, I don't know. She was just feeding the fire, you know? So...
Well, I think classic case in your season, and this is no disrespect to Naonka, I fucking love Naonka, but obviously, like, she had personality clashes with some people, but in terms of her, compared to some other people, she would take your tribe a lot further than some other people in your tribe.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's completely true. And you know what? I think Rodney would do that, and especially, like, there is some security in aligning with Rodney, because I think although he runs his mouth, I think he is, like, true to his people. Mm-hmm. Except I say that, and then they showed the preview with himself and Joaquin, so it's like I don't really know if he's true to his people or not. But I would like to think that he would be. And I think a lot of that, too, like, he might be obnoxious, but I think that whole Jersey Shore Italian family, like, he comes from good roots, I'm sure.
Very, very much well raised by his mother, as you like to share.
Yeah.
I noticed on social media he shared photos of his mother.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Because
and you know, he also called, what?
I was just going to say, he kind of was right. She actually is a very attractive woman. I just wanted to point that out.
I know.
Yep.
Well, he wasn't lying.
No.
He hasn't lied yet.
No.
And something I thought was funny in the confessionals, and I think about things, I see these confessionals, not confessionals, but, you know, when they go off on the beach and they talk with producers and whatever. Mm-hmm. He said that Lindsay had a Mike Tyson tattoo, and I am like, how did that go over? Like, what are those text messages sent between the two of them? When is this going on? If anyone has those, like, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Because I'm so pissed off. I think Lindsay's beautiful. I think her tattoos probably only add to her personality. But I'm like, really, Rodney? Like, really?
What was the conversations like when Nicaragua was airing? Like, did you have people who were texting you, or you texting me? Were there strange conversations going on when people were, like, talking about you, or vice versa?
Oh my gosh, you know what? There were a few of us, we were constantly texting during the episodes. And there were a couple instances I remember where we're like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even remember that, you know, things like that. And it's like, oh, I can't believe they just said that. And the big one, Benry, he called Alina
a dirt squirrel.
A dirt squirrel. I was going to say a dirt chipmunk. A dirt squirrel. And that was like, I could not even handle it. I was like, are you kidding me? Did that just happen?
Yep.
Because he was so sweet to our faces.
Yep. And when we had Alina on, I think, like, all the listener questions were just about that one moment. And then whenever we've had Benry on, it was just like, we had him on for an episode recap, I think, last season. And then literally every question was, who this season is a dirt squirrel? Who this season is a dirt...
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know what a dirt squirrel was. I had to Google it.
Hashtag dirt squirrel.
Yes. Maybe I'll ask you that question at the end, Kelly. I'll say, who this season is a dirt squirrel?
Oh my god, I better start thinking now.
Yes, exactly. I'll give you lots of preparation time. But, like, okay. The thing that was interesting, too, like, with this episode, like, we've seen all these... Like, people were against Mike. Like, Mike was the one who everybody hated. Then all of a sudden, this episode, it was Mike's kind of okay. He's worked it out with Rodney, and he's Lindsay in trouble. Like, what's your take on what Mike was doing and how he's kind of turned it around now? Well,
you know what? Since the beginning, I think he's, like, too close with everybody. And... oh my gosh, it's kind of hard. Like, I like Mike. I think what he's doing, I think he's playing the game really well, and he reminds me of Sash in my season, where he is so savvy, and he really genuinely does care about everybody, and I think that's part of his problem. I really think he actually cares about his tribe mates, his alliance. He really does want to do well, and I think he, more so than the other people, he's thinking of the future of the game, and he's 10 steps ahead of everyone. So I think that's what's going on, and... if he does take Rodney to the end with him, he knows that they're going to vote him over Rodney because, I mean, obviously the difference in personality there. So I think Mike's a good guy. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but I think it's just he's 10 steps ahead of everyone else.
And he seems to be, I think, getting into a lot more favourable positions with other people. Like, the fans are thinking he can really win this game all of a sudden. And I know last week in my rankings, I was like, yeah, this guy's gone. Like, if they lose, he's being voted out. And within this week now, it just all of a sudden looks like he could genuinely win this game.
I know, but that's when it gets down to, like, a few more people get voted off, they're going to be like, no, wait, he's too nice. He has to go. Because if he does go to the end, he will win. And I think Rodney, I don't know why, and I look at social media, and I think that's why I think this. I think Rodney's going to go to the end. I don't think he's going to win, but he's definitely going to be top 3.
Well, it's a good point you make with that, because he's also getting a lot of these hashtags. Like, you know, we had that hashtag 3Cs and hashtag, what was it, I'm Tom Brady or whatever the hell it was. But, like, are they really going to focus... Sorry?
He's so confident. He's too confident to be on next week or the week after that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, well, why do they put so much emphasis on these weird little hashtags over somebody who, in the end, is going to not make it that far? Like, I think he's going to make it deep too.
Yeah, he definitely is.
And can I just point out too that I know you're a fan of American football. Do people actually want to be Tom Brady if you're not a Patriots fan?
If they say they don't, they're probably fibbing because Tom Brady is just like a special little football god. He's perfect.
So we do like Tom Brady then?
Yes, we're Tom Brady fans.
Okay, all right. Just wanted
that butt chin. Come on.
I just wanted to clear that up because, there are some footballers in our country who are very well loved by their own supporters, but outside of their club they're not liked. So, all right, just...
You know what? I think that in reality that's probably the case. I enjoy football, but I also enjoy his face. I think he's cute.
Well, good.
So, yeah.
All right.
Everybody needs to love Tom Brady. If they don't, they're probably fibbing. Okay. That's all.
All right. we'll put that out there. Fair enough. I like that. But yeah, I think this. I'm glad you brought up next week in terms of Rod and Joaquin because everyone hates Joaquin. I've liked Joaquin since day one. I don't know why. Like a Rodney Joaquin alliance. How's that going to turn out?
Well, they're probably... I feel like that's too much testosterone. Like, one of them's going to eat the other one alive.
Are you a Joaquin fan?
He's going to eat Joaquin alive, so that's probably what's going to happen. But seriously, I think Joaquin... I don't know. I just don't think Rodney will actually align with him. I think that's a perfect setup for us to have us think one thing, and it's just not going to go that way. I do think Rodney's going to stay true to his alliance. I think Joaquin is going to believe whatever Rodney says at this point because they're like the two dudes of the show, but I just don't think that's going to go over.
It's interesting with the new divide on Escamecca. I can never pronounce the names properly, but we've obviously got the 4 ex-blue collars, the 2 white collars, and then we've got Joe. And the thing that's like Mike's all very much like, oh, we've pissed Sierra off, we've got to keep her in line. So maybe this is Rodney realising, well, Sierra's flipped. So instead of getting Sierra on, we're going to get Joaquin on side and keep this 4 strong, if you know what I mean. So maybe we're getting this kind of tease at us to think that, oh, Rodney's fucked. Whereas in truth, it's his way. Because, Joaquin, as much as I love Joaquin, he doesn't really seem like he's that much on the ball in terms of Survivor strategy.
Yeah, he's a little behind.
So
I think
that could
but
work.
I think it's such a good point. I think that they know Sierra is so anti them. The only thing she wanted from the switch was to get away from them. She didn't. They know that she's not going to side with them at this point. So why not take Joaquin? And then when it dwindles down, he's going to be the first to go. It's easy. It's simple.
And it's always dangerous in that situation, isn't it? It was edited, I think, perfectly that they've come back to camp. Lindsay's gone. Dan, and they're all going off at Sierra. And then all of a sudden, of course, we've got a switch. We've seen that so many times. On your season, Marty and Jill were in this great position. And then all of a sudden, bang, here comes the switch. See you, Jill. See you, Marty.
The switch is killer.
Switches are always killer. And this is where, I guess, the good players kind of... on Dan, Dan's an interesting character because he was, apologising to Sierra, but in the end he really was not apologising. He was saying, well, you did this, so I did this instead. So, in terms of social management, not very good.
That just reminds me of, a typical stubborn guy. It's I don't know if he's married or not, but I completely guess he's single. That, he just doesn't know, he's not that savvy with the females. And at first, episode 1, his debut, I thought, oh my God, he's going to be gone so fast because he can't keep his mouth shut. But the more I watch Dan, surprisingly, the more I like him. And even though he had that little fallout with Sierra, the apologizing but not apologizing at all moment, I think that he will be savvy enough to get rid of her at the first chance so he doesn't go. And he is so wrapped around Mike's finger that after his fallout with Sierra, why not take him to the end? He's not exactly, personable with everybody, so why not?
I kind of see Dan as a
get to the end, 0 vote getter, almost like a goat. Like, I mean, I love Dan. I love Dan. Like, don't get me wrong, but I just.
Well, that's what I think Rodney's going to be.
You think Rodney's going to be the goat? Okay, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, Dan is. I mean, pre-game he was like, no one's tried as hard to get on this game as I have. Like, I've flown around here, I've done this, I've applied every season, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, you're going out there to play this game that you've tried so hard to get to, and what are you doing?
That's what okay, so Shireen, Max, and Dan, those are the 3 people I'm like, you guys are super fans. What's happening? Like, they're the 3 delinquents of the game. And then Max is now gone, so I'm like, Shireen needs to figure it out. And I really believe if not, I don't know how to say it, Nagarodi.
Yeah, that will do. I don't ask me for pronunciation advice, Kelly. Come on, this is me. I can't say Nicaragua properly.
If Nagaroti loses next time, I'm going to start saying it with an accent because that makes everything better. Then I think Shireen's definitely next to go home.
Do you like Shireen? Do you like her?
No.
No?
I don't. And I don't even have that thought like I have about Rodney where it's like, oh, in real life he's probably cool. Shireen, I think, probably is being her complete self out there, and she's probably not cool in real life either. And I hope that's different. But a lot of it, too, is watching them on social media, and, like, they have fun together. I haven't really seen her in the mix, and I'm like, she must actually just be awkward.
It's pre-game, we talked her up a lot because she was in her, like, pre-interviews, like, very, like, quirky. Like, she put on her pre-game bio, like, the 3 things, what do you want to take with you to the island? One of her things she put, she wanted to take Beyonce to the island. Like...
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, well...
I did not see that. That is so funny, and that just gave her actually a few hours.
Now you like her. Now you like Shireen. But,
maybe she could win the million.
But, like, I mean, she's walking around with no pants on.
That's because she does everything Max does. She was Max's puppet, and now that he's gone, she just has no idea what to do.
I was just confused why just walk around with the bottoms off. Like...
Yeah, that's disturbing.
Yeah, anyway.
Like, if you're gonna go nude, first topless is more normal than bottomless.
That's what I would think.
If you go bottomless, you may as well go topless.
Yeah, I would think that in general you would... Anyway, I'm not getting into that, but, like, she's an interesting character, but... It's kind of, like, in terms of the fandom, like, just how... And everybody's so threatened by that. We saw that, like, how they wanted Max or Shireen gone, and part of the reason was they know so much about this game.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a huge threat, but then at the same time, they know so much they're just hurting themselves. And maybe when it got down to the merge, Max could figure out a way to manipulate people if he were to have stayed, but I just don't think they're a threat. But at this point, there's so many people in the game. Just get rid of who you don't want to play with, because you are going to have to live with each other for a while.
Do you think they should have gotten rid of Shireen over Max?
Well, they mentioned at one time, cut the head off the snake. And I thought that was a really good point. I forget who said that. I think Carolyn may have said that, but I could be completely wrong. No, I would get rid of Max, because Shireen can't function on her own without him, I don't think. Not very well, not to 100%. Max doesn't care who he's with. He will function to 100% and figure out a way to get there. So I would have gotten rid of Max.
It's a good point, actually, with that. And, I mean, Carolyn's an interesting one. I mean, she's kind of like this strong older lady who's kind of, you know, flipped over and done what she did in terms of taking that out there. I mean, are you a Carolyn fan? Because I think she's surprised a lot of people how she's taken to this game.
I love Carolyn. I think she is strong and independent. I don't think she... You know, okay, so in the end, I think it was end of episode 5, she all of a sudden was like a switch vote. She wasn't with her people anymore, and I think that move put her in the most valuable position, because at that point, you really have 2 switch votes, which can combine, and you really can create all new alliances, I think, from that point. So I think she's a lot smarter than what I originally expected, and I think she knows how to play the game, and I say this about a lot of people, but I would not be surprised to see her go to the end. I think Rodney's going to be in the end, and if Carolyn makes it, she'll make it far. She's going to do well.
It's interesting with the whole you're saying about the switch vote, because it was all about let's get Kelly on side because she was the odd one out. And
right.
I mean, this reminds me so much of Cagayan a couple of seasons ago when we had that switch and we had the brains, three brains, the three beauties, and we had the Sarah, the one brawn. And it looked as though it would be a clear case of let's get Sarah on side. But of course the beauties were all all over the place, so it was easy to target them.
Are you surprised?
Well, no. But like the interesting thing here is that all of a sudden the no-collars, so Jen, Haley, I keep going to call her Hallie, but Haley and Will are in this great position. If Joe can survive over on Escamecca because he's an odd man out, but it doesn't look like he's in trouble because it looks like they're going to be going after Rodney. I mean, if they come to emerge and there's still 4 no-collars, they seemed fairly tightish pre-switch. I mean, this could work out quite well for Jen, Haley, Will, and Joe. Looking at that no-collar dynamic and how that all goes, I mean, were you fans of, like, the no-collar tribe?
Okay, so episode 1 aired, and I'm like, this is the flirtiest tribe I've ever seen. I was kind of grossed out by it. I thought it was weird. And then they were all, like, touchy-feely, and I was like, okay, I don't even want to see them anymore. But now I feel like Will is awesome. I think that he showed a huge side of his personality. He had his birthday out there. It was very emotional for him. I thought that was a beautiful thing. I don't think Joe is in a threatening position whatsoever. I think that Sierra and Tyler, because Tyler's really not serving a purpose one way or the other, I think they're going to go home before Joe, and he's either going to find a new alliance or they're going to merge and he's going to be back with his no-collar people. But I think the no-collars, when the merge does happen, if there are enough of them, they're going to be strong. I think Jen and Will and Haley are going to stick together and they'll have Joe back. So at that point, it's going to be 4. And because I said Carolyn and Rodney might go to the end, I don't know where that leaves my no-collar people. But they're going to go far too.
You'll find them in there.
Really
They'll be in there somewhere.
I think Jen will go far. Especially, they showed her so much last episode, episode 5 though, that I'm like, is she next to go? Like, what's going to happen?
She's getting a huge edit, Jen, and she's kind of like, I think she's got a pretty big fan base. So I love Jen because she's kind of like this quirky female character who's very outspoken. She seems to be knowing what she's doing. She's got an idol. She's popular. Like, I don't know. I've got a real good vibe that Jen could win this game. I don't know if you could see that.
You have a good vibe.
That's.
I'm going to remember you said that.
Okay, well, it doesn't really count for much because Max was my pre-game vibe to win the game, and look what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you just like him? Is that why?
No, I thought that him being a teacher.
You thought he was going to be so smart he would win.
Yeah, I've never ever.
Better than that.
I've never picked a pre-game winner, Kelly, ever.
I don't think I have either.
Yeah. So you were mine in Nicaragua. So.
You what?
You were mine in Nicaragua. Not really, but...
Yeah, I was off there.
I blame you. That's your fault. No.
Okay, does that count for anything? If we, I'll always be the most fun.
Yes.
So I win that.
Yes, true. And I feel like I always have to point this out. I know I brought this up before, but, you still have, people need... If there's ever an invisible edit, it's always you're mentioned. And that's still something, whether it's good or bad. It's still the purple edit, so...
You know what? It's kind of funny, and I'm like, I would think, it has been nearly 5 years since I've been on Survivor, and even though most days it feels like it was yesterday, and I think about it, and it's like, the memories are, constantly flooding back, I think about how amazing and awful it was all at once, and I love that. I can't believe it was 5 years ago, but I am so flattered by all the people that still reach out and message me or send me fan mail, and people that care to even have my autograph. Those people make my day. I can't even, after the edit I had and everything else, I would bend over backwards for these fans. I love all of them. And I don't even call them fans ever. I call them friends because it's they've made my life amazing.
Well, that's why I think, you go to these events still, you go to Hearts Reality Rally, and you engage with the fans. And I think
for somebody, in all honesty, that was in your position in your season, not just from the edit and from everything that happened, it would be so easy for you to just like turn your back on it all, because I could, like, we've talked about it on this show plenty of times of how hard it was for you after the season had aired, after everything that happened, and you know, that's why I think the fans love you so much, Kelly, is because you are like that with them despite what happened to you on the show.
You know, at the show, it was a huge learning process. And part of the learning was going through the hate mail. And, you know, it's not even just me. It's people that win the show, too. Granted, I had much more, I'm sure, than Fabio. But, like, everyone's going to have hate mail. And what they're hating you for, like, some of the messages I saw, it was like, oh, she has a terrible spray tan, a terrible boob job, look at her belly button, look at her body. It's like, are you kidding me? First of all, I'd never had a spray tan or a boob job, and I don't even care what you think about my body right now. So it's like, things like that, you know, you have to piece through it, and for a while, I feel like you try and hide it, and you just want to go away. It was like, I didn't want to be on Facebook, I didn't want to talk to anybody, but there were so many more beautiful people than anything else through that whole experience. It's like, how could I not just, I can't just give this up. I love these people. And even the people that said some awful things to me, I'm like, that's okay, because like, I am here, I made it through this, and I'm so much stronger because of this experience in all aspects. It's crazy.
And that's what we love. That's it. That's perfect. And, I mean, I've talked to, you know, nearly 300 Survivor contestants now, and obviously people have varying experiences from winners through to first boots and all this sort of stuff. But, like, it's, at the end of the day, like, all of you are part of a family that a lot of people are very envious of, and a lot of it comes down to that, because we have a lot of, every time there's a season with somebody who quits, and this is what I just get so caught up over, is the people's reaction to it. And I just will always say, like, well, look, unless you've been out there and experienced that, you can't judge a person. Like, the biggest fan in the world, look, Max, for example, everyone would assume he would win the game because of what he's done, but he's voted out 5th. Like, just because you are the biggest fan in the world doesn't mean you're not going to quit on day one, for fuck's sake. Like, people just need to get over it sometimes.
You know what? And I think part of, regardless of the outcome, I read so many things before the very first episode aired, and I was pretty much the number one pick to go home first. After everything I read, everyone's like, oh, she's going to go home first. I completely do not have that Survivor image, like the camping, outdoorsy, anything like that. So to even make it past that first boot, Wendy went home first, and I don't know if she should have or not, but I was so grateful it wasn't me, because I knew everybody would be good. Like, they were gunning for me. They just didn't think I would make it.
Yeah.
And I did. And not only did I make it past the first boot, but I made it past the second, third. I made it through the merge, and that was so much further than everyone had really expected. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. And regardless of the outcome, I was like, it was hard. I feel like I still kick booty.
You made it further than Max.
Yes. You know what? I made it further than the one person that teaches Survivor.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Simple.
Yes.
That's what I think people need to look at. It's funny, actually. You mentioned Wendy. We, of course, did our rankings, our 442 rankings. Poor old Wendy was picked as the first one, the worst player of all time.
No.
Wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't get the first pick. I wouldn't have put it down that far. But
you put one of my people as the worst?
I think it was Kate who did, not me. So
come on, Kate.
Yeah, damn it, Kate. What's going on there? I liked Wendy. I didn't think she was that bad. So, you know, it's funny actually, and you mentioned that too. Like, it's so easy for people to judge kind of certain stereotypes, and like, I mean, last season I think is a great example of that, because with Jacqueline, like, I mean, she was getting such a terrible edit early on that every week we were like, well, Jacqueline's going like next week, Jacqueline's going next week, and by the end of the season, she's like turned out to be one of my favourite players of all time. I love that woman. So like, she was brilliant.
You know what? Isn't that so funny how that happens?
Yeah.
We all have these images of people, and then as everything goes on, it's like, oh my god, this is not what I expected at all. I actually love them.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We'll get to a few listed questions, actually, because we did get a few sent in. We'll get to those in just a moment, and of course, ask our final set of questions. But in terms of the three tribes turning into two, I wanted to ask you about this, because I would love to see a 3-tribe season stay 3 tribes for longer. Do you feel they have to switch it up? Do you think they need to do that, or could they have stuck it out 3 tribes a little bit longer?
You know what? I think they could have done it a little longer. That was actually one of the first things I thought of. I thought, oh my god, they're doing this already? Like, it was episode 5 that they did the tribe switch. But then I think about the no-caller. They were 2 people down. So that was just, that was just not going to work. So I don't know how they would have gotten by it. I don't know how they would have done it. But I wish that they would have done it longer. But granted, they would have to go into challenges, and 2 people at least would have had to sit out from white collar and blue collar, and then your challenges are going to be so much smaller. So
I think, because we worked this out the other day, that out of all the 3-tribe seasons, like, there was always like a switch or something like that around episode 5. Also, but out of all the 3-tribe seasons, this is the first one where it's kind of been even in the fact that every tribe had at least lost 1 member, because in all the other 3-tribe seasons, there was a tribe that just sucked. Like, they lost everything. Like, Philippines, literally, they lost everything. And then, like, All-Stars and Cagayan, there was a tribe that just lost all the time. So, this was more even, I was kind of hoping that would mean they would keep it 3 tribes longer, but I guess they didn't do it. In terms, one thing I guess I didn't ask as well, the whole gimmick, white collar, no collar, blue collar, do you like gimmicks? Like, do you like these twists? I mean, on your season, it was old versus young. Like, do you like seeing this, or do you just wish sometimes it would just be like, here's 3 tribes of people, they're just people?
well, you know what? I kind of like putting a label to it. I think it helps organize for my mind, and then it just gets me more excited about it, because it's like you're rooting for somebody. There's the good one, the bad one, the people that think they're good, they actually suck. And that's what's funny. And I thought that, you have your expectations. It's like the no collar. You have a sailing instructor, a coconut hunter. White collar, you have a professor, and wasn't somebody a lawyer? Yeah,
I think out of the white collar, one of them is in that field. Carolyn, maybe? Maybe. I'm not sure.
But so I see things like that, and it's like Carolyn, who is on the white collar, completely sophisticated, was so confident because she was on this white collar tribe, and so that instilled confidence in her, when in reality, I didn't think that they were that cool. So it's like, I think that just by having these labels, it's fun to watch with these people, like, how they feed off of that, how she's feeding off the fact she's a white collar versus a blue collar. And in the end, I think it would be fun to see a blue collar or a no collar win, because everyone has the expectation a white collar is going to be more intelligent, when in reality, the blue collar and no collar is going to probably have extreme social skills. They're going to be strong. And
I guess we had that on your season too, because if you label someone on like the older or the younger tribe, like, I mean, you had that, didn't you, with a couple of people like who were on the older tribe, and in hindsight, we're only a couple of years older than the younger people, so to speak.
But mentally, it's like, you kind of get in our head, because it's like, oh, you're the older tribe. And then with us, with the younger tribe, it's like, okay, we have to outsmart them because we're not as wise. Like, we're not as experienced. They're going to probably know more than we do. So that's hard. But I also, like, younger tribe, we went into challenges. Like, we're the young tribe. We can do anything. We're more physically capable and everything else, which didn't always prove true. But for the most part, like, we were pretty good in challenges. So it was fun to be, a part of, like, a younger versus older. And I think that white, blue, no collar, I think it's fun to be a part of that. It adds to the competition completely versus not having a label.
What fascinated me, actually, in that Survivor magazine, I know you and I were talking a little bit about this off air, but that Survivor magazine they've just released, I was reading what Jeff Probst said about your season, and he said he didn't like the old versus young divide, whereas that was one that if they had to bring back a twist, I'd love to see them bring back an old versus young divide, because I think, for starters, they need to bring more older contestants into Survivor. I don't think we get enough older contestants, but, like, I don't know, I just like that dynamic. It's weird that Jeff didn't like that.
You know what, I don't think Jeff liked our season at all, and part of it, too, it's hard for me, like, Nicaragua has a special place in my heart, but when you're used to watching the Philippines and Samoa, and then you go to Nicaragua, like, it's not as beautiful. It's wet. It's not as exotic. So it's hard. I think Jeff just personally maybe he didn't like Nicaragua as much, and then he really didn't like our season. So I think it's hard for him to enjoy the old versus young. But I also think if he really didn't like the idea from the beginning, that he would have put his foot down.
Yeah.
I really believe he would have. So that's hard.
It's interesting with his opinions too, because he talked this season up so much. He's talked Worlds Apart up so much, and then he was not a fan of last season. Whereas I, from a personal standpoint, up after 5 episodes, I liked last season better than this season. And I know last season isn't very popular amongst the fans. Someone Del Sur isn't really popular amongst the fans, but I quite...
You're an oddball.
I'm an oddball. And, well, I mean,
You're an oddball.
but the thing that I find Someone Del Sur will happen, Nicaragua, I find, was not well liked at first. But I think as the years are getting older, it's getting a lot more appreciation. So I'm thinking...
It's a classic.
Yeah.
I think it's a classic. And it really goes back to, Raw Survivor.
Yeah.
We didn't have all the luxuries. So that's a huge difference, I think, between our season and some of the, especially the more recent seasons.
Well, that's the thing. And I feel last season will gradually get like that. But it is, what you just said about that classic. I mean, at the time, Nicaragua, we've talked about a lot this on the show with yourself and other contestants from your season, but, it's followed heroes versus villains, so it's always going to straight away be like, oh, well, that wasn't that good. But if you separate it from the fact that it followed heroes versus villains, again, I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to somebody from your season. I love your season. It's a great season.
I know that you would be brutally honest. I know that.
Well, the season that followed yours was absolutely shit, so... Everyone hates Redemption Island, so...
That was such a crazy concept.
Yes.
So crazy.
Yes. It's interesting. Nicaragua filmed seasons, how they don't tend to be well received by fans at certain points in history.
You know what? I honestly think it's the location. I think we're so used to Survivor having this exotic, warm, beachy climate that it's hard. Not as fun to sit at home and watch a dark, a dreary season. Although this season isn't as bad as mine, I think that it's still... The water's not turquoise. The beaches aren't that white sand, Although they are going half bottomless.
Yes.
Except Shireen probably just went bottomless because Max did, because he didn't need a top anyways.
True.
If she thought about it, she would have probably taken her top off.
Very true. Was there nudity in your season? Did anybody, go naked that we didn't get to see?
While I was there was not any nudity. And that was that's the biggest question I get asked, relating to nudity. Does anyone hook up on Survivor? Are you kidding me? We're disgusting. We are so gross. We can't smell each other, but we know how gross we are. It's come on. There really isn't any nudity. And that's the last thing we even think about, I think.
I love going back and seeing sort of Borneo Australian Outback interviews from back when it was airing, because... Howard Stern, all those sort of people are just asking those questions. I never forget. The funniest one was they did this collection of clips of Jeff Varner from the second season, and they're showing all the stupid questions he's getting. And one of the questions somebody's asked him is "Did you masturbate when you were on Survivor?" And Jeff's look on his face is just what the fuck? How am I meant to? Why would you ask me that? Who wants to know that?
You know what? I will say there was one person from our season that was that made a comment. He's said something about you couldn't even identify his junk because it was everyone's so malnourished. You have no idea what's even happening. It was there was no sex drive or anything. Yeah. You just lost absolutely everything you had. So that was kind of funny for a while, but it was... You know what? I'm going to say this, and I hope Marty's listening. There was one case of nudity, and that was at Ponderosa when I was sitting out on the lawn chairs at the crack of dawn. I'm not even kidding. It had to be 5 a.m. I could not sleep. I was up all night so sick. I was wrapped in my sheet, and I hear something, and I turn around, and it's Marty, butt naked, on his patio, just taking in the view. And I'm are you kidding me right now? We still laugh about that. And I get his Christmas cards every year, and that's what I think about. I think about that moment at 5 a.m, Marty butt naked on the patio at Ponderosa, thinking nobody else was on Earth except for him. And I just love that. I think it was hilarious.
There we go. We just had Kelly admit on air right now, every time she thinks of Marty, she thinks of him naked.
think of that moment at 5 a.m. in Nicaragua, okay? The truth comes out.
Sure, we're sure. We actually had an episode a couple of years ago, and we've been saying this for a while. We are going to do another one. It was called the Random Secrets episode, and basically we had Kobe from Palau, Kathy Sleckman, and Billy Garcia, and we basically we got people to send in questions, kind of like that, like sort of things that I don't generally ask in interviews because we're asking about strategy and what happened in the game. But like people
until you get me on and I'm talking about nudity and everything else.
It's kind of interesting because like there are certain aspects of the game that I still feel super fans still want to know. Like, you know, like, I mean, we've had John Carroll on the show heaps of times, and he's told us stories about when he'd go to the bathroom and he had, like, crabs, like, trying to eat, like, his bum. Like, no, we didn't have crabs. Like, hang on a minute. Like,
no, I completely get it. I completely get it.
Like, you know, like, little stories like that. And I remember we had Kathy Sleckman was, like somebody messaged in a question about, like, women's stuff, and, like, she was talking about how she, like, had a bag of tampons that she would use as a pillow. Like...
Oh, my God. They never let us show that stuff. Like, that's always back, like, in a tub.
Yeah, well...
It's like, in the medication tub.
Right, yeah. Well, we're going to have another one of these episodes, and we're going to get different people on. So we might get you on, Kelly. I don't know.
You need to just have everyone write in and ask, like, the craziest questions they can think of, because I promise we've already answered them, like, probably... privately at least 100 times.
Well, it turned out to be one of our most I always get emails like, when are you going to do another one? Because like we've got, I think John Carroll's down for it. I think Jonathan Penner wants to do it. So, you know, we need a female voice, Kelly. Like,
I'm here for you. For all the females out there and all the guys that need the female input, I am here.
I am not.
I'll just say it how it is.
I am not recovered from that episode because Billy Garcia talked about him and his pubic hair. So let's just leave it at that. And I've just lost Kelly. All right.
Gotta go.
See ya. We'll get to some... Hello,
God.
Billy, if you're listening. We love you, Billy. We will get to some list of questions right now. Thank you to everybody who sent these in. As always, we will advertise up who we've got as our recappers each week, and we will get you to send questions. RB Lichestrom, he sent in a couple, but the one I like here, he says... Kelly, Lindsay has a face tattoo. Have you ever considered getting one, and what would it be?
Well, he asked what it would be, so I think I need to think of something here. I have never considered getting a face tattoo.
Until now.
I actually have never even considered a real tattoo because I can't even decide what color I want my toenail polish to be that lasts for a month. So I think a tattoo would just be the scariest thing to happen in my life ever.
Yes.
Gosh, if I could get a face tattoo, shoot, maybe some teardrops. Yeah. I don't know.
Isn't that like a sign, like gang members, they get a teardrop for everybody they've killed or something like that? Like,
I'm a gangster.
Do it. Like, get like 5 down your face and people are like, fuck, I'm not messing with her.
I know. You know what? I have a scar through my right eyebrow. I thought about getting that tattooed. Does that count as a face tattoo?
Why not? It depends on...
Because then I have girls that are like, oh, you didn't pencil your eyebrows right. It's like, no, bitch, I have a scar. Calm down.
Well, it depends on what the scar was from, Kelly. Like, what happened?
I ran into... Okay, I was younger. I was like 2 or 3, and I ran into the corner of a glass coffee table.
Ouch.
Yeah, so it went straight through, and...
Well, there you go.
It's kind of like, you know how Nelly has the line through his eyebrow? It's like he copied me almost.
Gangster. There you go. I have that, like, if I shave my head, I've got, like, a cut sort of where my hairline is, because my sister tripped me over when I was little and I cut my head open. So...
Way to go, sister!
Thanks, sis. All right, who else? What have we got in here? Daniel Ladiano. If you theoretically... on Survivor, came back and were on a season where everybody on your tribe was a Kelly. So out of all the Kellys that have ever played Survivor, who would you align with and who would be your number one target?
Oh my God, this is so funny. Well, I will say I would definitely... Kelly, that was in season in Africa, I love her. I think she is just the sweetest doll ever. Yeah. So... I think she and I would probably have fun.
I'd watch that.
Kelly on this season, I think, is a badass. And I would probably have to get rid of her because she's too much of a badass. I wouldn't even know what to do. Like, her whole buff on her face during the challenge on the first part of the episode was bleeding. Mm-hmm. And she had no idea, and she just kept going. And I'm on my couch like, somebody do something, she's going to just bleed to death.
Like dripping everywhere. And I love Jeff's comment when he was just basically like, if you were lightheaded at all in this challenge, we're stopping it. Like, he doesn't even care about her.
I know. Isn't that so funny? And it went from like a little bit of blood at the top to like covering her entire buff. So I think she is probably extremely cool. I think she's a total badass. And so I would probably just have to be like, okay, you gotta go because you're gonna beat me up right now.
I'm just quickly looking. If I am correct here in my quick assessment, there have been 8 Kellys who have played Survivor. 8.
That'd be a perfect tribe. Maybe they should bring us all back.
Well, I'm telling you, like, we had a discussion on this recently about, like, names and, like, what names have had, like, the best. And, like...
Oh, my gosh, it's always Kelly.
Well, there's so many good Kellys. Like, Kelly Wigglesworth, the first ever runner-up. Like, she's one of my favourite players of all time. Love her to bits. Kelly from Africa, as you're mentioning. We had Kelly Sarnecki from Gabon. She helped us get an interview with Russell, so we've always got to...
You know what? That's the Kelly I was thinking of, from Gabon.
From Gabon, yes. We had Kelly Sharborough from Samal. She had the dreadlocks. I don't know if you remember her.
Yes.
We had Kelly Bruno from your season, of course, and then the wonderful Kelly Shinn. Then we had Kelly from last season, who spelt it slightly differently. And then we've got Kelly from this season. So, yeah, it's a very common name. Might be the most common name we've ever had. I'm not sure. That or Rob.
You know what? I think it is. I think somebody else has told me that.
It's either Kelly or Rob.
Oh, there are a lot of Robs, huh?
Yeah, somebody can work that out. We've always got the fans out there who would tell us. So,
speaking of Kelly from my season, I have not talked to her since the finale, actually.
Really?
And it's just crazy. Yeah, I mean, we didn't align together on our season or anything, so I'm not super surprised. But I would love to see more people with, like, more amputees on the show. I think her concept was extremely cool. And I think that would be fun to bring that back.
We had her on... I'm trying to remember when we had her on. And she was amazing to chat to because, like, obviously, you know, she does all those amazing runs and, like, climbs.
She is so interesting. She is a really cool...
Yeah, and the strangest thing is I remember her, like, watching... Because she is a dead ringer for a very good friend of mine. Like, she looks exactly the same as her. So it's just kind of weird watching that. Like, you know when you watch a show and there's somebody who just reminds you so much of somebody? Like, Francesca, like, she reminds me of an ex-girlfriend of mine. And, like, if you put them side by side, look nothing like each other. But just, like, the eyes, Francesca's eyes, like, just looked like my ex-girlfriend. It was weird. It was really weird.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
I know, right? No, I have nothing against Francesca. But anyway.
Are you sure she's not your ex-girlfriend?
Well, look.
Secret's up!
Yeah, there it is. There's the secret, actually. What else we got here? Matthew Schmaltz asks, can you compare any of the alliances that exist on this season to any alliance that you were a part of?
Ooh, that's such a good question. Gosh. It's hard to compare any season, like, with another one because I really believe they're all so different. Like, you have the basics, you know? Mm-hmm. Or what it would be like a textbook basic, I guess. Mm-hmm. But, you know, okay, so this is, like, super recent in my season. But Dan, Mike, and Rodney are reminding me of, like, they have that bromance, like how Shannon tried to create the very beginning of my season with Chase and Benry. Like, so that's really the only thing I can think of. I'm trying to think.
Oh, Shannon.
Yeah, I know. Don't we dismiss him?
I think Jeff Probst said in an interview that he's only ever had to block one Survivor person from Twitter. He wouldn't say who, but I'm about 99.9% it was Shannon.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Shannon was the first person to say the C word on this show.
I remember during our finale, Jeff was, like, threatening him, you better, like, keep, like, online, because it's a live finale, you know, you don't want to have any issues, and it was pretty much like don't speak unless you're spoken to, from my understanding. So I was sitting on edge that whole finale, like, is he going to say something? And then Jeff talked to Shannon, and it's like, okay, what's his response right now? Is he going to blow up, or is he going to, like, act like he's cool, calm, and collected right now?
Well, I will point out, Kelly, you did beat Shannon in our big rankings list.
Thank God I beat somebody. Come on.
Shannon came in at 439, and you came in at 404.
Okay, so by a few.
Yeah.
Why am I 400? Does everyone just not like me that much?
Well,
like, am I not fun?
Well, like, honestly, I deliberately, I went into that, because we took it in turns, and I went into that, I wasn't going to choose you. I was just going to see where the other Ozlets would put you, because, like, the hardest thing about what we did as well is because a lot of the people that we were ranking, like, we've become quite close with, too. So, like, it got to certain points, like, we had to rank, like, you or Billy, or, like, when we got to ranking John Carroll, like, we've made very good friends with you guys, and we actually have to be quite diplomatic. Otherwise, you'd be like in the top 10, and then
because if you would have put me last, I would have been like, I hate you all.
And then on the flip side, we'd love to put you in the top 10, but if you ended up at like number 3 ahead of like Boston Rob, no one would ever listen to our show ever again. Like, no offense, but.
Well, I'm just flattered you thought 400 was a good place to put.
I will say that out of all the Nicaragua contestants, you were voted as the third worst. You beat...
And Shannon's behind me, and is Wendy behind me?
Fourth worst then, actually. Hang on, where's Wendy gone?
Oh my God, come on. You know what, just stop.
Hang on. Oh no, hang on. So yeah, no, you're the fourth worst. So you beat Wendy, you beat Shannon, and you beat Jimmy T.
He's so cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So does it go by like our very original interview, or does it go, because we did one with Russell too, remember?
Oh, no, this is not by interviews. This is just by on like we ranked every player who played Survivor in terms of how like the.
Oh my God! I thought it was based off of the interviews.
Oh God,
I
no!
did
If
with
it was interviews, you'd be in top 10 easily. Like, come on.
So I thought my interviews sucked number 400.
Oh no! Come on, Kelly. No. If it was interviews, you'd be in the top 10. But
okay, so I'm flattered to even be ranked.
Yes,
then.
yes.
That's.
We tried to get you in the top 400. Really did try, and in the end,
But I'm in the top 500.
You are. You beat. It was Paul who ranked you, so you can blame our Ozlet Paul. So there you go.
Paul, we'll talk later.
Yeah, exactly. You're in trouble, Paul. Thanks to everybody who sent in the questions. Kelly, we always wrap up our recaps of the set of 5 questions. And I was just going over the recap episodes you've done with us before. You did one way back with us in Caramoan. You did that after episode 7. You picked Brenda to win that. She got pretty close to the end, so that wasn't too bad. You said Reynolds could also possibly win it. He made it quite fast, so that wasn't too bad. You said next to go was Philip, and from memory, he might have actually gone next that week, so good job. And you said you were most similar to Brenda in that season. And then you also joined us in Blood vs. Water with Russell, as you just mentioned. You said Hayden would win. Again, got quite far, so not too bad. You said John would be the dark horse. He didn't make it that far. You said Sierra would go next. Not quite.
Oh, I really screwed up those rankings.
You said couple most likely to turn against each other would be Vetus and Aris. They nearly did, sort of. And
they did.
Sort of, yeah. We'll give you that. And Vetus and Aris would switch with each other on Redemption Island. And you said you were most similar to Sierra. So there you go. Just going back in time. All right, but I'm going to get to this season.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I must be just...
Cray.
I'm losing it.
Cray. Hey,
I'm cray.
You've still got to sing for me at this episode. I don't think I've forgotten about that either.
I will.
Good. All right.
Happy
After 5 episodes, Kelly Shinn, who is your tip to win Survivor Worlds Apart?
Okay, my number 1 pick to win. I want to... Oh, this is a... I totally did a fan favorite, and I didn't pick who I would pick now. You know what? Let's cause controversy. Rodney's winning.
Boom.
No, I said he probably won't get a vote, but he's gonna be up there.
He's gonna be up there. All right. Well, who's your dark horse? If Rodney's not going to win, who can sneak through and take a sneaky victory?
Oh, that's gonna be Will.
Will?
Yes.
Will Sims the second. Alrighty. Who's next voted out?
The next person voted out. That's Shireen.
Shireen.
She's just. You know what? I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to say Jen, just because the way they're showing her this last episode, I'm scared for her. I love her, but I'm scared for her.
Going out for the big call. I like it. Alrighty. If you were on a tribe this season, would you be white collar, no collar, or blue collar?
They should have a purple collar, probably.
Yes.
Except I look terrible in purple, so that would never work.
So like, just to clarify again, you never really wear purple, do you?
No, and you know what? I had my hair purple, but, like, I don't own... Like, I own one shirt that's half purple, half white, and it's faded, and I wore it in Hearts of Reality. That is the only purple thing I can even find in my closet. I don't even like purple.
That's so funny.
The truth is out.
It's like everybody knows you that as Purple Kelly, and yet you're like, I don't even like purple.
Yeah, I'm crazy. It's crazy. And the funny thing, like, I've had my hair every color, except for, like, green and blue. It's been red, hot pink, purple, like, everything. Okay. What was the question?
So would you be white collar, blue collar, or no collar?
Oh, that's right. Well, right now I would probably be a no collar.
No collar.
I fit into that mix anyways. I'm kind of an outcast, like socially, like fun, different. I don't fit into a white or a blue.
I could see that. That works. All right.
Yeah. A beat to my own drum, you know?
Exactly.
Keep it exciting.
Your Kelly collar. That,
Yeah, my Kelly collar. Which really I could start my own tribe with if there's 8 of them.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Final question. Out of all the players this season, again, they can have already been voted out. Doesn't have to be necessarily ones who are still in the game. Which player do you feel you are most similar to?
Well, I don't feel like I'm most similar to anyone that's been voted out so far, because I'm a winner, no matter what.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Okay, gosh, I want to say Kelly because we're both Kellys, but I feel like Sierra, you know? I like her style. I like her personality. I think she's strong. I think she's independent. And maybe just a little sensitive with the whole alliance thing. And I think that would be me. It would be like, I'm fine, I'm independent, but, like, I'm mad as shit right now, like you guys. And I'm never going to show it because I'm going to act cool.
That is a brilliant explanation. I like that. That works. I've just written that down in ink now, Kelly, so it's locked in. It's
oh, good.
It's permanently marked on paper, so that means...
So we can see if I'm right about everything.
Exactly. So then when you come back for next season's recap or the season, whenever, we'll go back in time and be like, yeah, so this is what you said on that one.
Yeah. You suck at ranking people.
We'll put you in the top 400 if you were better at ranking people.
I know.
All right, but before I let you go, I've got to let you sing. You have to sing. I told you got to come on this episode and sing for me.
You know what? You were just telling me that my accent sounded British, so I'm a little offended by that. Anyone willing to teach the Aussie accent ways I need help with. But I'll sing for you. Are we all ready?
Yeah, I've been ready for this all week.
Happy... Oh, gosh. I can't even get it going. What did I say last time in my accent?
Do you want me to count you in?
I have, for anyone that can't see this, which is everyone, I'm on video right now, moving around my screen.
Yes, and I've got like the conductor thing going like that, and I don't even think that's even helping. So,
happy birthday! That's not even Aussie.
Keep going. That was good.
Happy birthday! Wait, I need help with the accent.
So do you want me to do happy birthday to?
Happy birthday.
That works. That works. You can go on that one. There you go.
I sound like I have like an impairment. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. The person that ranked me over 400 in the rankings. Happy birthday to you.
Yay.
Just switched that and did to like a half I'm crazy, half American accent.
That's all right. That's fine. That's why we have you on the show, pure and simple.
Now my cat is going crazy. She's like, "Oh, happy birthday!"
What the fuck's going on right now?
Oh fucking crazy. No, I can say that. You're fucking crazy.
You're fucking crazy.
You're fucking crazy.
Not too bad. I can get you to do a Rodney accent. How's your Boston accent?
Paul.
Car.
I'm Rod. Paul.
Park the car.
I'm Boston Paul.
Oh, there we go. We just had Purple Kelly impersonate Boston Rob. It happened. It happened.
Boston Rod.
Boston Rod. Okay, no.
I meant to apply for Jersey Shore, but here I am.
You know, I think that sounded more Australian than your other Australian accent.
Like, happy birthday! I don't know what I'm doing. Last time I was like, a dingo ate my baby, and that's like not even that. I'm getting worse. It's because like I haven't talked to him forever. We can't ever let this happen again.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be closer so that you can understand the accents, and then
I know.
Yeah, just watch. I'll send you some links to a bunch of Australian TV shows, and then
I'll start watching.
Yeah, watch Chris. I mean, Chris Hemsworth's Australian. Don't all girls love Chris Hemsworth? Wasn't he sexiest man alive?
And Liam Hemsworth. Oh my gosh, just stop that! I can't even handle that.
There you go. Watch them. They're Australian.
You have so many good-looking people on that continent of yours.
Yeah, that's what we do. We breed them and then we ship them away. Yeah, Iggy Azalea is Australian. Do you like Iggy Azalea?
What?
Iggy Azalea, you know, the rapper.
Oh, yes, I like her.
Yeah, she's Australian. 5 Sauce. Do you guys 5 Seconds of Summer or whatever the fuck they're called? Some boy band.
5 Seconds of Summer.
5 Seconds of Summer.
5 Seconds of Summer.
That's all we had here in Hobart this year. Kelly, always a pleasure having you on the show. We started talking about Barack Obama, now we're talking about 5 Sauce. We've got to go now. As always...
And I'm Australian.
We love having you on. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the season. And, we won't make it as long in between drinks next time.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I have a blast. You are so much fun. I love Survivor Oz, and I can't wait to talk with you next time.
And there we go. Purple Kelly Shinn joining us all once again here in Survivor Oz. Always a lot of fun, and we always appreciate her time. That concludes our episode recap. If you haven't listened to this week's Oz Topsy, you can find that online, of course. We're hoping to bring back live ones this week. We've been saying that every single week. I realise that, but we are striving very hard to get them back up and running live. And next week's recappers, we're hoping so much. We've just got to get it confirmed that we will have the twinnies on, Natalie and Nadia Anderson, together recapping episode 6. We're just trying to get a few loose ends tied together, but if it happens, it happens, and it will be a fantastic one, so stay tuned for that. Always a lot of fun having them on the show, and we look forward to that if it does go ahead. In the meantime, survivoroz.com. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, I should say, like us on Facebook, and remember to subscribe to us on iTunes, easiest way to get it directly to your portable device. You can also listen to our Amazing Race spin-off show hosted by Noah Groves, and beautifully edited together by Colin as well. They're doing great putting all that together. We're a bit delayed in putting that up this week, but that will be up for you hopefully around about the same time as that one, so tune in for that. Power Rankings as well with Jeremy and Val. A lot of fun doing that. Read them, and we appreciate all the support that you've been giving us still throughout this season as we continue on with Survivor Worlds Apart. In the meantime, time to go. My name is Ben. This has been Survivor Oz. We will speak to you next time on The Trains.